On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
There you are. We're back. We're live. We are brand new. It is Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond, welcome into our Wednesday edition show. Boy, oh boy, do we have stuff for you today. We're going to look ahead to this weekend's SEC matchups, but the college football playoff rankings came out last night for the third edition. The third edition. And as it is and as it has been for week 1 and week 2, the most entertaining part was watching or listening to Ward Manuel, who is the director of the board right now, or he's the big guy with the commission for the playoff commission. Listening to him give his reasons as to where teams are ranked may be the most comical thing that we have in college football right now. The most comical thing we have. But before we get to all of that, today's Wednesday. Alabama plays on Saturday. That means one thing, and one thing only. It is time to get to our 7th grader prognosticator, the one, the only, Grady the Greek, kind enough to wake up with us like he does each and every Wednesday. Good morning, bud.
Morning.
Man, I tell you what, you look like you had a fantastic time on Saturday.
Oh, yes, sir, I did.
Tell everybody where you got to go and what game you got to watch on Saturday.
I went to Jacksonville State University, otherwise known as JSU, and they played Florida International.
Did you have a good, you look like you were having a good time.
Oh, yes, sir, I was.
Decked out in the Gamecock gear, sitting in the suite. You had a good afternoon. And JSU won, by the way, so they're in first place.
Yes, sir.
All right, buddy, here you go. You got to travel to Oklahoma this week. Big win. First of all, your thoughts on the Mercer game. I know you didn't get to go. You went to JSU, but your thoughts on the Mercer game.
Well, last week we took care of business. We did good. We ran the ball. Defense played well. So, yeah.
All right. This week it is off to Oklahoma, Norman, Oklahoma, a date with the Sooners. How does Grady the Greek feel about the travel to Norman?
Well, this week and next week we're going to have to start throwing the ball and keep getting defensive turnovers. So I'm going to say Alabama 31, Oklahoma 14.
Alabama 31, Oklahoma 14.
Yes, sir.
All right, so Grady says 31-14, the score there for the Crimson Tide over Oklahoma. All right, so if you were looking at game MVPs, who are you going to go with this week, bud?
I'm just going to go with Milroe.
Okay.
So you think he's going to continue his good play, Grady?
Yes, sir.
What has impressed you with the squad, the way they've handled business the last couple of weeks?
Defense.
That's a good point. And you said 31-14. You and I are on almost the exact same wavelength. I've got 31-13. I think they can put it away in the second half. Are you going to pick 2 games this week or just one?
Just one.
Just one.
All right. So where are we going? Are you going anywhere this week? You going to see any other game?
No, sir.
All right. He had a good time this past week. He went to Jack State. He got to see
It's a beautiful campus.
He had a good time.
Yeah. What'd you think of Jacksonville State, Grady?
It was good. I like it. It's fun.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I agree with that.
Good. I love the picture, by the way. Thanks for the picture.
Nice.
Yes, sir.
Grady the Greek on his way to school. Oh, you got to give your shout out.
Yeah. Who's your shout out
to?
Shout out to my aunt Nat.
Okay, the aunt today. All right.
There we go.
All right, big guy. Thanks for the call. Enjoy your day of school.
Thank you, Grady.
See ya.
All right.
So 31-14, Jalen Milroe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of people that feel 31-14.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm 31-13, so I'm feeling right along where Grady's going, and his MVP Milroe, I think he's a good pick because Jalen is the key to the whole team. I mean, we figured that out this year.
Yeah.
I mean, they go the way Milroe goes. He's got to make plays with his legs. He's got to make plays, protect the football with his and when he's throwing the football. And so he's just he's the key. He's the key this year. I mean, we saw the rest of the QBs last week. And again, it's different when you don't have a whole week to prepare or if you're not the guy. But I've said it all year. I just think Milroe is the best quarterback for this particular team and the way it's built. I think they've figured out their identity the last couple of weeks, and hopefully they can continue to execute and play well. Certainly, it's not going to be an easy environment over in Norman, but not a vintage Sooners team. They're even if they're healthier. I mean, we talked to Tom Green about it yesterday from Sooner Scoop, part of 24/7 Sports, or excuse me, Sooners Illustrated. Sorry, there's a Sooners group that's I think that's on 3, but Sooners Illustrated, part of 24/7 Sports, and again they can present a challenge, especially defensively. But I think it's a situation where Alabama's got an experienced team, they've got an older team in most areas. Certainly they're young on the back end defensively, but a lot of those guys have been in the fire now, and they know what to expect. I mean, you talked about the college football playoff rankings to start the show.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Alabama's 7. So what you equate to that is they're in a very solid position where they are. And trust me, if Alabama wins, they're going to be in. So they can control what they can control, which is, getting a winning result. And if they do that, they're going to be in the tournament.
Brent Venables talking about the offense. Grady says 14 points.
Yeah.
Oklahoma's offense has struggled this year. Brent Venables talked about that.
We know we've been historically inefficient and ineffective on offense, so I won't even talk about that, but we have gotten a little bit better. Some players have gotten better the last several weeks, and we've been a little more efficient and given ourselves a chance. If we just take care of the ball, we'd have a chance to win every game that we play, and along with creating some explosive plays. You can't, with the types of teams that we're playing, you have to be able to do that to put yourself in position to win.
That was Brent Venables talking about how historically insufficient and ineffective the offense has been. And a lot of that is because of missing players and the quarterback, and inconsistent play from the quarterback. And the
offensive line has not been good.
Yes, not good.
No, they tried to rebuild their O-line through the portal. Some guys didn't perform up to what they were being paid. And then obviously they've had some injuries as well. And like we said, the quarterback position, they've been in up and down. They got off to a decent start, but they've had a lot of turnovers from the QB position. And Jackson Arnold, that's why he got benched, and Michael Hawkins Jr. basically got his opportunity there for a couple games, 2.5 games. But then he began to turn the football over. they weren't making explosive plays, and so they went back to Jackson Arnold. So the wide receiver position has probably been the most decimated by injuries. They have not been the usual explosive and had that dude at running back. So it'll be a really interesting offseason. I mean, I said when we were in Dallas that Oklahoma to me was a team I couldn't quite figure out how good they might be because, look, I knew that, that they had a 10-win season in the Big 12 the year before, but their quarterback, we all know he's a Heisman candidate now at Oregon. He left and went into the transfer portal as an experienced guy. They had some departures to the NFL. They had lost some experience. And again, it just felt like they didn't have as much returning proven guys as Texas. And Texas has done a nice job in their first year in the SEC. But we also talked about this yesterday. Texas's schedule was very, very beneficial this year. Now, next year, not so much. It'll be tougher because they're going to have some tougher road matchups in the Southeastern Conference.
Right.
But again, I just think with Oklahoma, the injuries have kind of caught up to them and some inexperience. And, Alabama's gone through this too. Everybody has. Sometimes the portal guys don't come through. And sometimes they do.
It's a gamble.
And Alabama has had several that have. And then, but again, and then you got to have some depth and have some guys step forward in key situations. Alabama's been blessed with that, with guys like Bray Hubbard stepping up for Keon Sabb, who we found out this week. And as I said, hitting around, I felt like he would probably be done for the year.
Right.
And he's not going to be able to come back because of that foot injury and the surgery that he had to have. So you got to have some guys mature quickly and step up because, but Kirby Smart's also made note of this, and it's affected Georgia, even though they're coming off that big win over the Vomits this past Saturday, is that Georgia has been affected by injuries. I mean,
remember what Kirby said at SEC Media Days that –
yeah, because of the portal.
Because of the portal, depth is not where – he specifically talked about Georgia.
Yeah.
But he said, you know what? We don't have the depth like we used to have.
Yeah, they don't have the
depth. That's the same for a lot of college football programs, a lot of the big ones. They don't have the depth like they used to have.
Think about it. I mean, at running back, they were basically going to try to play Dylan Bell for over half his reps at running back in the last game. Then he gets hurt because they were already down. Etienne was hurt. Cash Jones was hurt. All these guys. Jones played a little bit. But I mean, heck, they haven't had Branson Robinson for a while. They've just had a lot of guys hurt. And even a team like Georgia with all their, great players and they've recruited at the highest level. If you get in one position, if you get 2 or 3 guys hurt, then you're going to be in trouble.
All right. So before we get our first break in here, we talk about the SEC tie-breaking scenarios if we end up with 2 or 3 or 4 lost teams in there, and it might take a little bit. Well, the Big Ten, it took the Big Ten 2 weeks to go over all of their scenarios of everything. They did it for the past 2 weeks, and yesterday they finally determined that Oregon can finish no worse than second in the Big Ten, and that they have clinched a spot in the Big Ten championship game. So it took them 2 weeks to figure it out. It might take the SEC as long to figure it out if it comes down to that. But it took the Big Ten 2 weeks to figure out that Oregon had clinched a spot, and they announced it last night, that Oregon clinched a spot in the Big Ten championship game. So they are in. So one participant in a major conference title game has been sealed. All right, let's get our first break in. When we come back, we will go over the college football playoff rankings. And Ward Manuel, oh my goodness, Ward Manuel steals the show yet again on a Tuesday night. We'll explain.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got
got some fog to deal with this morning. If you got a long way to go, that's going to cost you some time. Got a new wreck, 565 eastbound at mile marker 3. That's Greenbrier Road. No injury reported. Got a wreck on County Line north of Highway 20, paged out as an injury type. Looks like they have canceled HIMSI on it. And we got one on 69 at Mount Oak Drive in Arab. That one may have an injury. Still trying to clear 165 northbound at Huntsville Browns Ferry. Show Scholar Dollars Legends in Concert Series is bringing Grammy Award winner Kathy Mattea to UNA this Sunday. Tickets are available at showscholardollars.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Hi, folks. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to come test drive any one of our over 100 F-150s. From rock-solid, dependable work trucks to our state-of-the-art Platinum Series, we've got an F-150 for you. Test drive one today, and you'll understand why the F-150 is the best-selling truck in America, going on 48 years in a row. Just as successful offenses and defenses are built on teamwork, Woody Anderson Ford is powered by our people. Our sales and service teams are well trained to save you time and money. And because we want your business again and again, no one will work harder to earn it. Our mobile service teams come to your home or business for oil changes, brake work, tire rotations, and more. And the great thing is you don't pay extra for it. We come to you with mobile service at no extra charge. Proud to be local, family-owned, and at your service for over 62 years. Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at superstore.com.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
November in Alabama means one thing.
Alabama and this SEC football arch rival meet in the Iron Bowl.
The Iron Bowl.
What is Arkansas?
No, listen for full coverage of the Iron Bowl right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Correct response. What is Auburn?
This speech is my recital. I think it's very vital to rock around. That's right. On time. It's tricky. It's the type. Here we go. It's tricky to rock around. That's right. On time. It's tricky.
Last night the college football playoff rankings.
It was tricky.
Were released and it was tricky.
Yeah.
Oregon remains number 1. Followed by Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Indiana, 1 through 5. 6 through 10 look like this. Notre Dame, Alabama, Miami, Mississippi, and Georgia. 11 through 12, Tennessee and Boise State. SMU sitting there at 13. BYU, off their first loss, drops down to number 14. They drop down to number 14. And if they go on to win the Big 12 championship, they would be into the playoffs. Just because they're at 14, sitting outside of the 12, they'd be in because they would win the Big 12.
Yeah.
It would be Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Indiana. If you make this into a bracket, Alabama would be the 9th seed and have to travel to Notre Dame to face a opening round playoff game. Yeah. If you're going to bracket this out. These are the rankings, not a bracket.
Yeah, not the bracket. Now, via the rankings, it would be interesting because Alabama would actually host Georgia due to the rankings yesterday, because it would be 7 and 10. But like you said, because of the automatic qualifiers, which is like the NCAA tournament.
Yes.
The unfortunate thing, though, in the NCAA basketball tournament, just because you win an automatic qualifier doesn't mean you get a top 4 seed and you get, a bye to the semifinals, or excuse me, to the quarterfinals. Because
Boise State they projected Boise State to have the bye because they would have been. So Boise State would get one. You would assume you could put Ohio State in there as the bye for the Big Ten, and Texas would get a bye, or Oregon would get a bye for the Big Ten. Texas would get the bye for the SEC. And then you would give Boise State a bye as well. And Miami. Those would be your 4 bye teams.
Oh,
is
okay.
what they projected last night.
Gotcha. I was a little bit confused as to why Boise would get a bye, considering they're not a Power 4 team.
But it doesn't have to be a Power 4. It's just the highest conference champion, highest ranked conference champions get the bye.
Well, I mean, I don't. Boise State doesn't deserve a bye. They'd get their ass whipped by anybody in the Power 4. So let's just flush that down the toilet. That's garbage. So, some bitches can barely beat, Nevada. So let's just get that out of there. Buford it. So, but hopefully Ward Manuel and the morons will come to their senses before they vote anything like that. I mean, that's why we're coming out of the abyss of this country in the crap hole we've been in for 4 years.
Based on the latest rankings, you would get Boise State a bye, Oregon a bye, Miami and Texas a bye. Ohio State would host BYU in a round 1. Notre Dame would host Alabama. Penn State would host Georgia. And Indiana
BYU
would host Ole
Thank
Miss.
goodness we're going to be without that after this weekend, when Arizona State beats the hell out of them and they can go somewhere else, because they have no business being even in this discussion, because they're not very good.
Someone in the Big 12 is going to get in.
I know, but they're going to get 1 team. That's it. They're not going to get 2. That's utterly stupidity. Anybody that has any football IQ above a doorstop knows they don't deserve over 1 team.
And they won't get over 1 team.
Nope.
The thing is you're going to have a Big 12 team ranked 16, maybe 17, 18, somewhere down the line if they lose, and they're going to get an automatic bid
unless it's
the
Miami.
Playoffs.
Because Miami's, still, in the top 10 basically, and they've lost 1 game to Georgia Tech. If Cristobal can quit tripping over himself and that team can get ready to play and they win out, then they win the Big 12,
right? Miami's in the ACC.
Yeah, Miami's in the ACC. That's what I'm talking about. But I said Miami, as far as the ACC goes, they're going to have a top 10 team potentially if Miami can win out. If you're talking about the Big 12, I don't really give a crap.
That's what I'm talking about, the Big 12. So that's what I'm saying. The Big 12 is going to have a team ranked 14, 15, 16, or 17 possibly, and they will get an automatic bid into somewhere. They may not get one of the top 4 spots, but they're going to get an automatic bid.
If the Big 12, if somebody like an Arizona State wins out and wins it, because they are in the Big 12,
yes,
I think they'll be ranked ahead of Boise when it's all said and done, because Boise's playing nobody. They're look, the Big 12 is not a strong league, but it's stronger than the piss ants that Boise State's playing. And Boise State, I'm sorry, they're going to end up getting penalized for who they've played, and they're going to fall down, and they're not going to get a bye. I mean, that's just stupidity.
So last night, after
there's no way they deserve that.
After the rankings were released, Ward Manuel has his little teleconference call and was asked specifically about the 4 SEC teams all ranked 8 and 2.
Yeah.
Was specifically asked about Tennessee's weakness that has them below Alabama, Georgia, and Ole Miss. Specifically was asked about that. Here is Ward Manuel's response to that question.
Well, one, they just had a loss to Georgia. when they had the loss at Arkansas. But it's really splitting hairs. I mean, they have great offense, great defense. They play hard. The committee just has had a hard time. I mean, you're talking about 4 really good teams when you look at, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, and Tennessee. And I think the committee, we debated it, as I said earlier, quite a bit as it came down to how we saw those teams. But they have, beat each other at different times. And so we have to look at Alabama in the last 3 games, particularly the 2 before they played Mercer. They won in dominant fashion. And we were really impressed with their win at LSU 2 weeks ago. So it is, it is close. There's a lot of conversations, and we'll continue to monitor the performance of all these teams as the season progresses and towards the end, actually.
I mean, give me a break. Good Lord. This guy's related to Kevin Warren in some capacity.
Oh, it gets better.
I mean,
it gets better. He was asked about strength of schedules.
Oh, I'm sure BYU's is up there.
He was asked, and Mike, and he says, and it was Mike Griffith who asked the question. And he says, he wants to know.
Yeah.
And he goes, I'm comparing Alabama's schedule to Penn State's. He says, Alabama's gotten 4 wins over top 25 teams, and they have 2 losses. And he goes, you got Penn State with no top 25 wins and 1 loss. He goes, do you quantify blowing out bad opponents versus winning impressively? That was the question about strength of schedule.
Well, it is a part of the discussion, and if you're in the room, you would see that is a considerable aspect of the discussion about how to evaluate each team, given that they're playing different schedules, and who's in front of them in any given week. And so there's a lot of discussion about the variables, strength of schedule, who they're playing, where teams are ranked, where they're playing. Are they home? Are they away? I mean, there's all kind of things that we talk about and look at and debate and discuss as it relates to that. And so it's not cut and dry. If it was about just, strength of schedule, the rankings probably would look much different. But
you
because
think?
We have the evaluation process, because we see how teams are playing, and all they can do is play who's in front of them. And then the committee has to deliberate and make a decision based on what we see in the results of the games and how they proceed.
So there you go.
So what you do is, if you're BYU, you do what you did during COVID and play 10 tomato cans, then they'll let you in.
That's basically what he just said there.
Before you lose to Coastal Carolina and ruin your season, because that's exactly what happened to them.
You can't. I mean, the schedule's the schedule. You have to play what's in front of you, and that's it. So don't go out and schedule all these tough games, because it doesn't matter. As long as you beat everybody convincingly on your schedule, you're going to be fine.
To be honest with you, I'm not going to lie, because it's a discussion point, but I paid attention to where a few of the SEC teams were in the rankings. I didn't just look at the entire poll last night, because I think some of it is just stupidity at this point, because again, I think a lot is going to change as they play against each other.
Yeah.
And I'm more concerned about the SEC. But then when you get up this morning and you see that they actually did, because I forgot about that stupid rule where I was thinking that the 4 buys in the top 4 seeds was going to all come from the Power 4.
No.
Notre Dame can only be 5th because of that rule. I forgot totally that you can put some puke like Boise State
the highest
if they're the highest ranked. which is they ought to call that the Biden rule because that's basically what it is, stupidity. So, I mean, it's just dumb because I'm going to be honest with you. You look at this bracket, Boise State could not beat one team in that bracket. They would get the piss beat out of them by everybody they played. This is not Chris Peterson's Boise. They would get the snot beat out of them by double digits by everybody they played. I know they played Oregon tough early in the season, and I guess that's one of the reasons why they're ranked high, but it doesn't matter. By now, they would get the hell beat out of them. Heisman Trophy boy would be lucky to get 50 yards, and they'd get shut down and get their ass kicked and go eat a potato.
Let's go on to the phone lines. Let's get in Mark from Spring Hill. Good morning, Mark.
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, give Drew a break a minute, and let me ask you about this. Throw something into the kink into the armor here. How about the chaos of these championship games? You're going to have some upsets in those championship games. That's what's really going to throw this committee, make them jump off a bridge. For example, well, you can look at the Southeastern Conference even. I like Alabama to win out. I think Alabama will get into the SEC championship game. They're better than Texas. They'll beat Texas. Then that, possibly knocks Texas out. There's all kinds of scenarios we could go through. There's not one championship game in the conference, any of these conferences, that's a guarantee this year. So, I know it takes us 4 hours to go through all those scenarios. Like you said, just a minute ago, we don't have time. I mean, there's still a lot of football to be played, but I wanted to mention that first. But second, Milroe. I know his name's not being brought up, as a Heisman guy, but your thoughts on him performing well again this week, 3-4 touchdowns against Auburn, a very solid performance, 3-4 touchdowns, beating Texas in the SEC championship game, scoring 3 or 4 touchdowns. What do either one of you have a vote in the Heisman?
Scott does.
Yes,
I do not.
Do. Okay, Scott. If in that scenario, is there a player and you know what the rule? You know how you're supposed to vote. I'm not saying it's how people vote. Is he the best player on a team in the country?
No.
Wow.
No. I mean, what Travis Hunter is doing right now in Colorado.
Yep.
Travis Hunter, in my mind, is the best player in college football now.
He's the front runner right now for me. Yeah. You'd have to say it.
He played 130 plays.
I was going to say, when you're playing 120, 130 plays.
He played 130 plays
this is not
Saturday, and he's got Colorado. By the way, this isn't like Colorado is out of bowl contention and they're doing this as a stunt.
Right.
Colorado is 8-2. They're 16th in the poll.
Right.
If BYU stumbles again, and if Colorado wins the Big 12, Colorado could be in the playoffs with Travis Hunter playing both ways. Mm-hmm. That is amazing. That is the best player in college football right now.
Because we've seen this happen with guys in the past. With Michael Clayton's at LSU, Gordy Lockbaum from Holy Cross, and then of course the one and only Charles Woodson who won the Heisman. But especially in the case of Charles Woodson, Lockbaum actually did play a lot of snaps both ways. But with Clayton and Charles Woodson, this is situational. With Clayton, it was situational defense. With Woodson, it was situational offense. They weren't playing nearly every snap of every flipping game like Travis Hunter is. What he's doing is unprecedented on that level. And so he has separated himself. And like you made the good point, I mean, Colorado could end up in the Big 12 championship game and then win the Big 12. And so to me, and if they win the Big 12 and they're not ranked ahead of Boise State and they're not in that top 4, something's wrong. Because I'm sorry, you don't reward tomato cans. I don't care. You play who you play, but they're playing in the pissant league, okay? There's no way they deserve a top 4 seed playing a bunch of Nevadas and all this other crap that the Power 4 teams would beat by 5 touchdowns every game that they're struggling to beat in the fourth quarter. I mean, I like Boise State. They got a good program. You will not win a college football playoff game. You will get the ever-loving hell beat out of you. So record the game, record the show when you get selected, but you will never watch it again because you're going to get the hell beat out of you.
By the way, Travis Hunter in the latest Athletic Straw Heisman poll, 26 first-place votes. He is by far the favorite. Ashton Genty is there at number 2 with 49 points, and then Cam Ward at number 3, but there's a big gap. There is a huge gap between Travis Hunter and Ashton Genty. There is a Gulf of Mexico size gap between Travis Hunter and Cam Ward.
When Colorado had their little, struggles in the middle of the season and Hunter got banged up, some people didn't even have him in the top 3, but he's exploded, in the latter third of the season. And to me, he has separated himself. I know people were talking about Shador and everything and the numbers he was putting up, but he's not doing what Hunter's doing. I mean, that guy is a freakazoid. And so to me, he deserves the Heisman Trophy. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind, especially considering, and I still not quite sure how good Colorado is. And let's not forget, they had the one miracle win for them against Baylor somehow that they were able to pull out. But, since then, they've taken care of business. I've been, kind of pleasantly surprised that they haven't lost a couple of more games. I'll give Deion credit. This is when maybe he could have been Sportsman of the Year instead of that garbage crap last year, Democratic garbage, where they gave it to him for having a losing record. I mean, that's the stupidest thing. It's like Paul Hornung winning the Heisman when Notre Dame had a losing record. I mean, that's just dumb. Even though, Paul Hornung's a great player, Hall of Famer, but you're playing on a team with a losing record, you shouldn't be winning the Heisman. But Travis Hunter, without a doubt. He's so important to what his team's doing. And again, it could be Arizona State and Colorado. I'll be honest, I don't follow the Big 12 all that closely. Who does Colorado have left on their schedule?
I'll have to look at that. I tell you what, let me look at that and let's get a break in. When we get to that, we'll go over their schedule as well as tough news for a former Alabama transfer yesterday. We'll explain it all and more when Talkin' Ball returns.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly sunny sky this afternoon. Definitely going to be cooler across the Tennessee Valley. Temperatures only climbing into the lower 60s. We drop into the low 40s as we head into the overnight. Even cooler for your Thursday. Plenty of sunshine, though. Temperatures only going to climb into the low and mid 50s. We drop into the mid upper 30s through the overnight. Early Friday morning. Definitely going to be a cold Friday morning commute. A partly sunny sky Friday afternoon. Once again, temperatures climbing into the lower 50s, dropping down into the mid 30s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
That wreck on 65 northbound at Huntsville Browns Ferry should be about ready to clear. We just got one, Moores Mill and Steger. That one's coming in as an injury time. Got one on County Line north of Highway 20, reported with injury, but they canceled Hemsey. New one in Decatur, 31 in Plaza's got some southbound blockage. And we got one in Arab, 69 in Mount Oak Drive. I don't know about injury there. You could lose up to 4 sizes in 4 weeks with a 2030 Fast Track Weight Loss Program. Find out more at 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
It all comes back to money.
Visit our store right now at zonedeals.bigdealsmedia.net to take advantage of all the best deals in the Tennessee Valley. Or just go to our website, 977ESPN.com, and click on the Zone Deals logo to start saving right now.
Now, as to the price.
These deals won't last long, so get yours now. Zone Deals. You'll thank us later.
A man who could easily afford to buy a vowel.
Next time you're online looking for landscaping inspiration, open Instagram and check out Southern Gent Landscaping. They can help make your yard your dream outdoor oasis. Southern Gent Landscaping can handle it all, from landscape maintenance and installation to irrigation and hardscapes, even AstroTurf. Turn your yard into a landscape you'll be proud to show off. Call Southern Gent Landscaping at 256-509-6088. 509-6088. Southern Gent Landscaping. Professional landscaping performed with satisfaction guaranteed. When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Hi, this is Chris Stewart. The quest for a 19th championship starts this fall. Listen to Alabama football all season long on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
No damn sleep.
There's no sleep until the college football season is over, because if you blink, you might miss something. And in case we just missed it because we talked about it during the break, the team that last night, this is what has a lot of people kind of scratching their heads.
Right.
When they talked about Texas, Texas has 0 wins right now against the top 25.
They do.
Okay. They put key wins for Texas last night. ESPN did. Key wins for the Texas Longhorns are a win against Vandy and a win against Arkansas.
Well, then they sure as hell better not hold the Vandy game against Alabama or the Arkansas game against Tennessee.
No, they did. So on their Tennessee, for a bad loss, they put Arkansas.
Well, how? How can you do that and give somebody else
So because then they were like, well, this is the same Arkansas team that lost to Oklahoma State. And now you look at it.
And now Oklahoma State isn't worth a piss. I hadn't been paying attention to this stuff.
Oklahoma State is 0-7 in the Big 12.
We focus on real football around here. We focus on the SEC. We don't pay much attention to the Bush leagues, the rest of it. But I knew Oklahoma State was having a rough year. But Scott informed me during the break just how piss poor they really are.
Well, because I was
awful.
looking at it because they kept saying last night Texas's key wins have been against Vandy and Arkansas, and then they said Tennessee's bad loss came from Arkansas.
What?
So how can you have one be a key win and one be a bad
You can't.
loss? Can't. It's impossible.
I mean, and again, I knew Utah was having a rough year because I watched them get robbed against BYU in the Holy War the week before, and they're not used to being about 500 or whatever, or under 500 under Kyle Whittingham. They've had a rough year. Kansas had a lot of expectations under Lance Leipold coming in, but they upset BYU this past week, and they've lost a ton of close games. I just didn't realize that Oklahoma State had tanked. But I guess when your head coach starts telling everybody it's time to stop negotiating, time to play football, you probably pissed them off, so they didn't get their checks on time, and they're 0-7. And so I haven't heard that the mullet's on the hot seat. He's been there forever. But,
Speaking of Saturday, there is a big showdown.
Yeah.
And it does have an impact in the college football playoffs. That is Indiana traveling to Columbus.
Yeah, huge.
Where they will take on Ohio State. Now, Ohio State is going to be missing a key piece to their offensive line.
Oh, this is awful.
Former Alabama transfer, and he took a lot of heat for his play last year. Seth McLaughlin at center.
Unwarranted, in my opinion.
Yeah, he suffered a torn Achilles. He is going to miss the rest of the season.
He'd had a
is
good year,
big
too,
blow
man.
for the
That
Ohio State
sucks.
offensive line. It does.
When I saw that, I was hoping it was just some kind of one of them fake-ass stories, People put all that stuff from Richard G. West or whatever the hell his name is.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
But but
Not
it's
fake.
Yeah, it's not fake.
He has started all 10 games for the Buckeyes this season at center. I mean,
good kid
he
from a
and
great
Will Howard,
family.
they seem to be on the same page as far as snaps.
Dang.
Not a lot of snap issues
Stinks.
there in Columbus.
So now they got to go to a backup center. Their line's going to be in flux. We'll have to ask Bill Bender of the Sporting News about that. How that changes things for Ohio State. I mean, I just hated to hear that, man. I mean, I think he'd done a good job of moving on and fitting in at Ohio State, playing well, and to not have his career in college end with something like that. Gee, and in practice, ugh.
Carson Hinsman, who was the regular season center last season, is still on the team, but he's moved around the offensive line this year. He started the last 3 games at left guard. So are they going to move him to center? So there's a lot of questions for Ryan Day along that offensive line going into the Indiana matchup on Saturday.
There is. And again, this is Indiana's shot. And I was looking at our good friend Josh Pate, who's in New York right now, and he was having to deal with ACC Danny yesterday, and they sat down.
Oh, yeah, I did.
They had a discussion, and ACC Danny was talking about, the SEC and comparing it to the Big Ten and things of that nature. And even Josh was making good points because he actually pays attention and he does his homework. Now he thinks Indiana will still get in even if they lose this game competitively. Okay. But he's not sure they should be, just simply because the Indiana schedule. You look at their schedule, whether it's in the Big Ten or out of conference, it's not that strong.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he says Texas too. I mean, he says,
He called out Texas. He said
both
if Texas
of them agree, though,
loses
Texas
another game,
loses a game, they should be out.
Yes.
They have not beaten a team.
That's what he said.
Inside the top 25.
Right. They do not have a quote unquote signature win.
Yeah. The one thing, and I don't know, I know you have not read this one, but Nicole Auerbach.
I have not.
She writes for NBC Sports.
I thought it was The Athletic. Is it still the?
I think she's with NBC now. I think she left The Athletic.
Okay.
Or The Athletic left her, or one of the two. Anyway, she put an article out about Indiana, and this will all tie into Bill Bender too at the top of the hour, because Bill Bender, Indiana is like one of these new kids on the block this year, and they're not one of the old staple SEC guards. Ohio State's not, they're one of the old
time
guards.
Ever.
Yeah, so it's old kind of versus new. Nicole Auerbach put an article out saying, "Hey, look, the college football playoffs need to change." And she says, and this is her words in the article. This is her words. What teams have done on the field should matter. She says, "I'm sick and tired of the idea that Indiana would be near the bottom of the SEC standings if it played in the SEC. I'm sick and tired of the idea that the SEC's 2-loss merry-go-round teams are inherently better than the Hoosiers or Penn State or Miami."
Well, they are. I can't help that. If you don't understand football and you can't see it with your eyes, then stop covering it, because they are better. Because you know what? All this bullshit, and go ahead and just go ahead and you can dump it, because I'm pissed off. Okay, all this BS about look at the bowl record. The bowls don't matter. Everybody opts out. I'm just telling you, if all these players weren't opting out, these Big Ten teams would be getting embarrassed.
She went on to say, simply because they'd be favored against them in a hypothetical matchup, if we went to Vegas, and she goes, if we went by Vegas odds, there would never be a need to actually play any games. She says Alabama was favored over Vanderbilt by 22.5 points, so that's all we need to know.
Yeah, they have to use the Alabama Vanderbilt game as an example. Wow. Okay, big whoop. I mean, Alabama's been favored in other games and not won. Alabama wasn't favored against Georgia this year. Who won? Alabama. You know what I'm saying? So, look, I'm just saying, I know what my eyes see,
right?
And these Big Ten teams aren't as good as these SEC teams. They're just not. Okay, they're slower. They're not as athletic. I mean, they play a different style of football, and I really don't give a piss who doesn't like what I'm saying.
Well,
I really don't care.
Won it all last year.
I mean, it's a miracle. They won it all. They were able to beat Alabama, and they had a really good football team. They did. They beat Alabama in the semifinals. They were able to whip whoever the F they played in the championship game. I can't even remember who they played now. Don't really care, I guess. But again, it's just one of those things where they won the national championship. They deserved it. They won it on the field. But I mean, it's a rarity, though. I mean, when you look at it, Ohio State and Michigan are, at least in the last 5 to 6 to 7 years, are the only 2 Big Ten teams to me that could compete with SEC teams. All the rest of them, Penn State included, cannot. And I don't think Indiana can either. I think Indiana, they've done Cignetti's done a great job, should probably be National Coach of the Year, but they don't have the material to beat an SEC team. They would get the hell beat out of them. Ole Miss would beat them by 3 touchdowns in Bloomington.
She says the beauty of a 12-team college playoff is supposed to be that we can determine a national champion on the field. In certain seasons over the past decade, there was a chance that the nation's best team was not among the top 4. It's far less likely that we'll have a bracket with 5 conference champions and 7 at-large teams that leaves out someone who might actually be the best team in the country that particular season. Are we going to leave the best team in the country out in this 12-team playoff?
No. There is absolutely no way, none, that the best team in the country gets left out in a 12-team playoff. Are you kidding me? None. There's no way. 0. And especially if it goes to 14 or 16. There's no way the best team in the country gets left out.
She says some SEC teams in the mix right now already have 2 losses, and it might take a third by the end of rivalry.
If Indiana played in the SEC, they would have already lost 4. They wouldn't even be getting in. Their asses would be worried about basketball.
She says, I'm not saying there's a magic number of losses that should disqualify a team from the playoff, but we can't pretend they haven't happened. In other words, we cannot pretend.
And we cannot
Georgia,
pretend
Alabama,
that the
Tennessee,
Indiana Hoosiers have played somebody with a pulse all year and that they're one of the 4 or 5 best teams in the country, which, in my opinion, they are not. But they will get their opportunity on Saturday to not fall all over themselves inside the horseshoe and get the hell beat out of them. Hopefully they won't. Hopefully they'll still be in this conversation. But if they get eviscerated, they shouldn't even be in the playoff period.
We're going to get a break in. When we come back, more Talking Ball. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Looks like traffic's running slower than normal through the County Line Road, Wall Triana area, 565 eastbound. We got a wreck indicator 31 in Plaza that's got some southbound blockage. Got one on 69 at Mount Oak Drive. That's an Arabs. May have an injury there. Expert heart care backed by advanced technology. When you need cardiac care, you need the heart doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialists on Bob Wallace Avenue. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Forgiveness. Wow, what a word. What a gift. All of us have done things in our lives that we regret. All of us have done things that are disobedient. All of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Thank God for his forgiveness. Thank God that he separates our sins as far as the east is from the west and remembers them no more. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison. Check us out at cpcfamily.org.
Rich Eisen here from Monday Night Football on Westwood One. Join us all season long as we get you ready for primetime NFL action every Monday night. Along with Kevin Harlan, Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner, and the entire Westwood One team will take you inside the locker rooms and the stadiums for exclusive previews and all the play-by-play action. Every week on Monday Night Football.
Right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
No one man should have all that power. The clock is ticking. Yes, indeed. And yes, indeed it is. And it's ticking towards midnight for several teams across college football. And this weekend, you could either still be a Cinderella or turned back into a pumpkin.
What hell? I forgot DeBoer. He played for the national championship last year with Washington. No, DeBoer. He played for the national championship with Washington last year.
The DeBoer era is officially underway.
Good Lord. I mean, and then of course
we're making fun of commercials on our own air.
I know
that's all right.
And the Washington Huskies beat that incarnation of the Texas Longhorns last year. Of course, they weren't in the SEC,
right?
But
no, but that thing. But last year though, Texas made it to the college football playoffs. But Texas went on the road last year and beat Alabama.
Yeah,
in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, they earned their way
to
in.
back it up last year.
But I will say this
they're
about
in the SEC right now, but Texas does not have wins.
They
to
don't
back up being where they're ranked right now. They do not have the wins.
I mean, here's the thing too. If they lose Texas, down the stretch, you could make a strong case for them to be out completely, especially if they lose to A&M and don't even get to Atlanta to the SEC championship game. The one caveat that Texas could have if they win out is they'll be in Atlanta playing a quality opponent and have a chance to get one of those signature wins. Okay.
Right.
But they need to win. And then we even had someone text in and say, if Ohio State loses to Indiana. Now, if they do and Indiana's undefeated, I got no problem with Indiana being in, okay? They haven't played a great schedule, but this would be a tremendous win for them. The only thing I slightly disagree with is I don't think they would be, you could make a case for Ohio State to be totally out if they don't get to the Big Ten championship game. But then you look at the Boise's of the world and all that, and I don't know. And then their two losses would be to Indiana, who's undefeated, and Oregon, who's undefeated. When you have two losses to two teams that, haven't lost a game and are probably going to be in the top 4 in the country, it's very, very difficult when you sit there and think about it. To Ohio State, now they wouldn't get a bye or anything, but it would be, and probably would even be on the road in the playoffs, but it's very difficult to leave Ohio State out.
I agree.
I
agree because look,
and I don't like the Big Ten.
Look, Ohio State. If Ohio State beats Indiana, they're going to get into the Big Ten title game, and they're going to face Oregon.
Yeah.
So you have a chance to rematch and beat Oregon. How funny is that? I mean, Oregon last year gets into, I believe, the Pac-12 title game, and they lose to Washington. Remember, because they lost twice last year to Ohio State. I mean, and I believe Oregon is the first Power 5 team to relocate to a new conference and make the conference championship in its initial season since like the 80s or I don't know. It's been forever. I mean, it's been a long, long time. But if Ohio State gets in there, they beat Oregon in the Big Ten title game, you will have a one-loss game to the number 1 team at the time, Oregon, and then you have a rematch and you beat the number 1 team in the country, Oregon.
See,
Ohio State would have its resume to be 1 or 2 in the country.
Well, they would, but I mean, and then the thing with Indiana, if the Hoosiers lose, it's
going to be a debate. If they lose, it's going to be
a
debate.
Because even with one loss, with their lack of schedule strength, how can you not strongly consider taking a 2-loss SEC team over them?
You're going to hear a lot this weekend, and you're going to hear it on Monday. If Indiana loses, what you will hear is, was it a competitive game against Ohio State?
Yeah, they've already started that.
Yes, they have. The debate has already started. Was it a competitive game? Was it a competitive one? Did Indiana keep it competitive? Did they keep it within 14 or 10 from Ohio State? Were they competitive? That's what you're going to hear, because you're going to hear that narrative surround. Well, they do it with SEC teams. They say it with SEC teams when they go into that matchup. Is it competitive? Is it competitive? Bill Bender's got some thoughts or two on all of this. He's got.
We're going to let him talk
on Ohio State.
I need to rest my voice anyways.
You got about 2.5 minutes to get it together.
Yeah.
Hour two of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Coming up next.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. This action update is brought to you by GBank. Earn cashback rewards on every eligible gaming transaction. VSiN.com/GBank.
The latest college football playoff rankings are out. The top 4 in the new 12-team format get first-round byes. Right now, that's Oregon, Texas, Miami, and Boise State. Ohio State's 5th, Penn State 6th, Indiana 7th, Notre Dame is 8th, Alabama 9th, Ole Miss 10th, Georgia's 11th, and BYU 12th. Ohio State, the current betting favorite to win the national title at plus 300. The Oregon Ducks plus 450. Georgia and Texas plus 500. Alabama plus 800. Ole Miss plus 1,100. Notre Dame plus 2,000. Same for Penn State. Indiana plus 2,500. Tennessee plus 4,000. Boise State plus 10,000. That's the VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. I'm Chuck Sanders.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Welcome back, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Hour 2 officially underway. Big thank you to SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center. They're dedicated to helping you and getting you back on track. They're providing care that improves lives. They may even help you along the way as well. 256-881-5151.
Are you saying I need medication?
No, crap. I forgot to call them. I got to cancel an appointment. I think I have an appointment this morning at 10. I've got to call them actually and let them know I'm not going to be able to make it.
Okay.
Sorry to bring that up.
We're putting out our personal business on the show.
I just remembered that. I was like, crap, I got an appointment there.
Yeah, baby.
So that lets you know that I actually use them.
Yeah, you do.
But they are the official training providers for the UAH Chargers. Don't forget,
an ingrown toenail they took care of.
Coming up.
Hey, I'll just put my business out there.
Yeah, why not? Don't forget, they are the official training providers of the UAH Chargers. UAH basketball coming your way tomorrow night and Friday night. UAH hits the road. McKendree on Friday night. They got Missouri-St. Louis or Friday night, Missouri-St. Louis. Thursday night, McKendree. I'll get to the times and all that here in a minute because we got a guest on the line. We talked about the Big Ten. We've talked about the SEC. We said the Big Ten went over their tie-breaking procedures for about 2 weeks and determined yesterday that Oregon would be in the Big Ten title game. So we've kind of said the SEC has a 22-page document on their tie-breaking procedures. They might need that much time to figure out who's going to get in the SEC title game as well.
Well, we got our next guest. We haven't talked to him since February, but he knows the Big Ten better than anybody we speak with and knows college football. He's the senior college football writer for the Sporting News. It's Bill Bender. And, of course, you can connect with him on X at BillBender92. And he's been kind enough to join us. And we're going to talk SEC. We're going to talk Big Ten. We're going to talk college football. Bill, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. How's it going? I think it's been a few weeks since I talked to you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no. We needed to have you on with this Ohio State Indiana game coming up because I mean, again, we are in SEC country. We don't pay as close attention to the Big Ten as you do. You need to educate us on the Big Ten and in Indiana.
Educate us on Indiana.
Yeah. Because I mean, again, we know this is a huge game for the Hoosiers. I just said it before you came on. If they win it. And they're undefeated. They're definitely in. They definitely have a shot to play in the Big 12 champion or Big 10. I knew I'd say that Big 10 championship game, be a top 4 seed. But if they lose, then there's the other side of the argument because of their schedule. But again, educate us on Cignetti and the Big 10 and the Indiana because he's the national coach of the year right now. Nobody saw this coming. The last time we spoke to you, I certainly didn't expect Cignetti. He had just been put in place from JMU, from James Madison. I don't think anybody saw them having their best season in school history coming up.
No, and they've played well, and they'll probably get in the playoff over a 2-loss SEC team, and it's going to anger people. And I'm kind of on the fence here. I'll give you the most political answer possible is I would probably take a 2-loss Tennessee team over a 1-loss Indiana team.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we should do. But you're seeing that they have a little bit. There's 2 biases, and I wrote about it last night. There's brand bias in the college playoff. There is.
Yeah.
You have an orange steer on your helmet. You get a couple extra points for that, or up this way when you have a gold helmet or a wing on it. But there's also brand new bias too. Like they're new, so you're seeing that within the media. I mean, people love a shiny bandwagon, and Curt Cignetti has good quotes in his press conferences. So. Yeah, I would make the comparison to the Lions in the NFL. Like last year, not this year. This year, they're really good. Last year, everybody was so enamored with Dan Campbell that they, not that I'm a bitter Packers fan, but they let it go every time he makes a bad 4th down decision.
Yeah, but with this Indiana team, especially for our listeners, we haven't watched them as much. I know they had one close game basically with Michigan. It was a 20-15 game. How good is this team? Talk about their strengths. I know Cignetti basically built them in the portal, but kind of talk about how good this Indiana team is and how do they match up with Ohio State, which a lot of people had as the number 1 or number 2 team in the country coming into this year. Such a great roster that they put together, with Ryan Day.
With Indiana, I was talking to a source and they told me, the thing with him, Cignetti, and you guys know him. He is in Alabama.
He was.
They said what they had been talked through was he's not going to get beat or scheme wise.
Yeah.
Make it the way you're going to beat him is you have better players. And that's college football on some level. Like he'll make it tough on you otherwise. I think they play very good assignment football on the defensive side. Their linebackers in particular, they fit. They do the run fits correctly. Very good against the run. They don't give up big plays. Curtis Rourke, the Ohio University transfer quarterback, has played very well. He's going to play in the NFL. I don't know, like second day 2 guy.
Yeah.
And which is fine. You're in the league. And he throws the back shoulder fade very well. So Ohio State, has more talent than they do. There's no question. But, the big news last night was
we heard
Seth
that.
McLaughlin.
Dang.
I don't know if you guys talked about this.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Seth
did.
McLaughlin,
That's what I was going to ask you about. How big of a loss is that?
Because now they have to shape their offensive line again. They already lost Josh Simmons for the year.
That's
so they're
true.
down 2 starters to season-ending injuries. The offensive line was already a concern on the right side, especially the Nebraska game. They play well against Penn State. Now they turn around and now they have to replace a guy that really solidified the middle. Seth McLaughlin's having a really good year. So, it's going to be tough. That's a wrong injury at the wrong time type deal. But Ohio State's defense has been amazing.
Yes.
They've been really good on that side of the ball with the exception of a couple minutes against Oregon, basically, that didn't go their way. And, so, listen, I wrote this last night that hasn't lost to Indiana since 1989. 1988, I'm sorry. 1988. And
Anthony Thomas,
old.
right?
Anthony Thompson, yeah.
Thompson. Dang
yes.
it.
he played for the Cardinals in the NFL. I don't know. Yeah, I always make the joke that, for those of us that played a lot of Super Tecmo, we remember that.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's been a long time. So, to me, it's like when Kurt Signetti says, Google me. Well, I was like, well, they better Google the Ohio State Indiana scores for the last 40 years because, they're not going to be impressed until they lose.
Ryan Day, this is another big game for him, right? Is this one that Ohio State needs to go out and take care of business in?
Oh, yeah. It's a tough-up game, and he won the Penn State game on the road, and that went a long way and get to me. If we're being honest about it, yeah, it's a big game, but next week's more important for him. If he had to pick one, if they were like, hey, pick one, you got to win, Indiana or
Michigan.
I think even though I know exactly what the stakes are, so if they lose to Indiana, they're not going to the Big Ten championship game. But if they were like, hey, you lose that one, go play Michigan and still go to the playoff, most Ohio State fans are going to take that door number 2 because they haven't beat Michigan in 3 years. But I think it is a huge game for him. But some of the heat on that cold when they beat Penn State. And, we'll see in the playoff how it goes. I look at Ohio State in the way that I look at as SEC teams down your way. It's like if you catch Ohio State on the wrong day, like LSU did Alabama, you could get beat pretty significantly. If you catch them on the right day, like a Georgia at Ole Miss, they're very beatable. So they're kind of in that same weight class as all those SEC teams that are fighting to squeeze into what's probably going to be 4 spots in the playoff.
Now, we're talking to Bill Bender of the Sporting News. Does Indiana simply just need to be competitive in this game and then feel good about their college football playoff fate?
Yeah, I think so, and I think they're fine no matter what, because I'm not sure unless the only scenario where I see it getting ugly is like if Ohio State does to them what they did to Michigan State a few years ago when they were up 49-0 at half. And if that happens, yeah, the Tennessee fans are going to be chattering, and Ole Miss and whoever they're going to try to squeeze out. But I honestly think if you're Tennessee or you're Ole Miss, because I think Georgia and Alabama are in no matter what, as long as they win out. Those other two, I think it could get interesting. So the point is that with Indiana, if your choice is, okay, I'm going to root for Indiana to get blown out, you might not get your wish. You probably got a better chance of rooting against Notre Dame the next 2 weeks and hoping that either Army or USC, who switch quarterbacks, can upset and knock out the Irish. Although I will say this, I think Notre Dame's been playing pretty good ball the last month.
Yeah. Now, Notre Dame, if they do lose one of those 2 games, especially to Army is sneaking around because they're undefeated. But does a loss knock Notre Dame out of the playoff of any kind?
Yeah. Any kind of loss, they're out. Then you're putting the Tennessee in or who? Yeah, because they're already anchored down by. I saw one of those memes that you see, where the guys walking into the HR office and Notre Dame. You see that one where. And then it's the second one's SMU. They're like, hey, we have one loss to a top 15 team, and they're like, get out of my office. So I thought that one was pretty good. Yeah, but I think one more loss would knock Notre Dame out. The thing with the Irish though is I can't figure out is I can that their defense has been elite.
Yes,
their defense is amazing. I kind of want to see that defense against a Georgia or a Tennessee or an Alabama. The offense has progressed with Riley Leonard, and the defense has never been bad. Even in that Northern Illinois game, the defense did its job. So that's my way of telling you, man, they are going to be right there, and they're going to be a tough out when they get in the playoffs, especially if they get a home game in the first round.
So the Big Ten announced yesterday that they have gone through all of their tiebreakers, all of their stuff, and Oregon has clinched a spot in the Big Ten title game. Now we'll find out who they play in the next week or so. We're kind of doing that same thing down here, Bill. We get calls all the time because the SEC has a 22-page model on tiebreakers, on figuring out who's going to go to the title game, and they could have to delve in to some of those 22 pages when it's all said and done.
Well, now we're going to let you have the floor, Bill. What is your plan?
Well, the Big Ten is going to be Oregon and the Ohio State-Indiana winner,
right?
More than likely, right? And then
Right.
the SEC, I went through all these tiebreakers last week. If you get, I mean, obviously Texas A&M triggers a lot of this stuff, and I think Texas is gonna win their next two. So that's one. They're in. And then of the two lost teams, you're probably going to get knocked all the way down to the cumulative conference winning percentage of everybody's opponents and in the conference. And the team there's only one team right now whose cumulative conference that phrase I just said is over 500, and that's Alabama. So if Alabama wins out and Texas wins that game, I think that's going to end up being your SEC championship game. Now, can some things happen along the way? Like could Auburn, pick off A&M, or a lot of people are circling. Ole Miss better be ready to go against Florida this weekend. I mean, Florida looks like a different team against LSU, so that can disrupt that whole scenario. But right now, I think it's going to be Alabama and Texas, and then now there's this argument that what if that SEC team takes a third loss? I don't think a team should be penalized for going to a conference championship game, especially in the SEC. But as I was pointed out last night on one of the shows I was on, that they said, well, we just watched Georgia have that happen to them last year. They were the number one team in the country all year, had one bad half, and they were left out of the playoff.
Right. Of course, that was a 4-team playoff, and it ended up being instead of 12. So it would have an expanded field, no doubt about it. But and we talked about this a little bit. We haven't spoken with you. You followed it, right? Especially with the success their team is having. Is the Heisman Trophy race over?
Not yet. I mean, Hunter's leading now, but and there's still room for Ashton Genty. What if Colorado? I mean, I think he's the best bet, and Jalen Milroe is another guy that get in the mix. If Alabama,
Mark from Spring Hill is going to love you.
Good, Mark. Well, Mark from Spring Hill's on to something, because I was just saying, if Alabama wins their next few and wins the SEC championship game, and Jalen Milroe has a performance similar to what he did at LSU, which was incredible, and you start to look at his totals, and that's the recipe for a Heisman winner with a quarterback, that he would have a chance. I think he at least has a chance to get to New York. And these quarterbacks, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, the guys that I always say, Drew, if you have the last word, the guys that are in the conference championship games kind of have the last word. So that's the last thing we look at before we turn those ballots in.
Yeah, that's a good point. No question about it. Well, as we look at it, what do you gauge Indiana's chances going into the horseshoe, especially with the McLaughlin injury, which we hate, because I've been around the kid. He's a great kid from a great family. I hate to see his career end like that, because as you said, he had done a great job for Ohio State. But what chances do the Hoosiers have?
I still think it's long odds, but we'll see. When you go, Ohio State's lost 5 games at home. 14.
Wow.
2 Big Ten games. So, and I can name, there's so few home losses that I can tell you all 5 quarterbacks that went in there and won. It was Michael Brewer with Virginia Tech, with Anthony Brown with Oregon. This guy named Baker Mayfield. He's done all right since. Yeah. Tyler O'Connor, who replaced Connor Cook for Michigan State, and J.J. McCarthy. So, and if you go back and look at each one of those individual games, the quarterback played lights out. So that puts a lot of pressure on Curtis Rourke to have a great game. Right. And I think if he does, they could have a chance. If this injury on the offensive line clearly affects the Buckeyes' ability to run the ball. But I just seen this movie too many times it's like you don't put on like a movie like Scream and then you're like, oh, this is going to end differently this time. No, you know what's going to happen. So I'm still going to pick the Buckeyes.
Well, it's going to be an interesting game in Columbus, no doubt about it.
I think.
And we're going to be definitely watching closely with the Indiana Hoosiers and the statement they could make. But we always appreciate your time, Bill. You do a great job covering college football, and let everybody know how to follow you.
Yeah, I miss seeing you guys. Thanks so much for having me on. And, I'm at sportingnews.com. We'll have some Indiana, Ohio State stuff later in the week. We've got pieces on all these tiebreakers. They're like, I made the joke last week. It was like going back to college and, actually having to pay attention in class. It was not easy to put some of those together.
No, I mean, it's insane that, you have a tiebreaker thing and it's in the SEC. Just in the SEC alone, it's 22 pages long to try to figure out who is going to get just to your championship game.
Well, and I just to be totally transparent, down this stretch, we are definitely going to be connecting with Bill on a weekly basis because he has got to educate me. I've been focusing on the SEC and trying to see how many teams in the playoff
I think a lot of
get
people
in.
have in this area.
He's going to have to educate us on the Big Ten and the rest of these teams in the country. Because I'll be honest, Bill, I was just told this morning that Oklahoma State hadn't won a damn game in the Big 12, and
I had to wake him up to that one.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So it really is, and who knew that they could have a chance? If I would have told you in August, hey, Oklahoma State's going to play spoiler and maybe knock Colorado out of the playoff, you guys probably wouldn't have invited me back because you said I'm not all there.
Colorado Colorado could end up in this thing before it's all said and done.
I think they will. I think they're going to win the Big 12. And you look at them the last 4 weeks, 4 wins of 18 points. Their average margin of victory is around like 18 points the last 4 weeks. They've been crushing it since that loss to Kansas State.
Yes, they have. At Bill Bender 92.
Bill, I want to say, is Tulane in your eyes? Has Tulane got a chance to get in there?
Yeah, we love John Summerall.
We love John Summerall. He's from here. We've had him on the show a couple of times in the last month. Do they have a legitimate shot?
He's not an up-and-coming coach. He's here. He's been awesome. And they scoring over 40 points per game. They really need Boise State to lose.
Come on!
If Boise State loses, which could happen, they could, and then you get this Army-Tulane game that to me is essentially going to be a Group of 5 championship game, and I like Tulane's chances in that one. I saw what they did in Navy. Look at that. They're getting penalized, guys, for losing Kansas State and Oklahoma, and they hung with both teams. He's got it going on there. He's a fantastic football coach, and I would have to say I'm not surprised what they're doing because I know how good of a coach he is.
There we go. Give John Summerall some love from Bill Bender of the Sporting News. Bill, have a great weekend of college football, man. We always appreciate your time, sir.
No problem. Have a good one. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Bill Bender with us. See?
Yeah.
Interesting. Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, let's get that break in. 256-576-4977.
I'll go get
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We're stacked up and slow southbound on the causeway and across the Hudson Memorial Bridge, headed into Decatur. Also on 565 eastbound from about Greenbrier all the way into Wall Triana. Those areas just moving slow. I haven't heard of any wrecks in those areas. 31 southbound, south of the Beltline in Decatur at Plaza should be just about ready to clear. Looks like we got one in Scottsboro, 72 and 35. Dr. Sandman has the Somnodent, a safe, insurance-approved alternative for snoring and sleep apnea. Dr. Randall Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Eagle Masonry and Installation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is you need a new roof, not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
You need a lawyer and pick up the phone. I'm attorney Gary Lackey. When you call for a lawyer, where does that phone ring? My phone rings in my office.
I'm attorney Justin Lackey. My phone rings in my office too.
So does mine. I'm attorney Jennifer Lackey. And when you've been hurt and need help, we're the ones who take your call.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Well, I hope we haven't made everybody's heads spin too much today.
Well, Bill Bender was good.
But I mean, look, we didn't create the mess.
No.
We're just trying to sift through all of the 10 pounds of mess that has been left behind overnight.
You said best. At least you didn't say what I said.
Yeah, we're trying to, yes, that is true. Yes, fool me once, fool me twice. We're trying to sift through everything that was left to us by the College Football Playoff Committee. That's all we're trying to do.
Yeah.
We're just trying to sift through everything that happened last night. Now, there's been a lot of reference to Boise State on the show because of where they are at in the rankings and the fact that if we did bracket this whole thing out, these are not brackets, these are just the rankings. If we bracketed it out, Boise State would get one of the first 4 byes right now, because they are one of the highest ranked conference champions.
Manure.
So you got to thinking, well, how has Boise State earned that right to be one of the 4 highest ranked conference
Because
champions?
they lost by 3 to Oregon.
Because
that's
they have beaten the powerhouses of Georgia State, Portland State, Washington State, Utah State, Hawaii, UNLV, San Diego State, Nevada, San Jose State. And
San Jose.
Then they get Wyoming and Oregon State. They've beaten a lot of states, but they've got Wyoming and Oregon State.
And of course, the first thing some clown's going to tell you is Georgia State beat Vandy. Who gives a crap? Vandy's not going to be in the playoffs.
Vandy is a good loss, remember?
Oh yeah. Vandy's a good loss.
Vandy's a good win because Texas has it on.
Yeah.
Texas beat Vanderbilt, and according to ESPN last night, Vanderbilt is a big win, along with Arkansas.
Well, hell, Vandy would beat Boise like a yard dog.
Oh, I would like to see Diego Pavia and Boise line up.
I wouldn't care if they played over there on the blue field either.
But played at Milton Frank, I'd see it.
Well, I'd like to do that. I could just drive over there.
I'm just saying. So anyway, Boise State potentially, and Bill Bender told us, hey, if Tulane wants to get in,
come on, we need Boise to lose.
They potentially could have Colorado State in the Mountain West.
Well, Army should be rooting for them too, because
Colorado
if Boise
State and
lost,
Boise have not played each other.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, here's the thing: if Boise loses and Army especially if they upset Notre Dame, they knock Notre Dame out, and then Army and Tulane, that could be a play-in game.
Yes.
For the college football playoff.
It would be.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, they could play each other twice, though, couldn't they? Isn't that possible? Because they could have a rematch in the conference championship game.
Who's that? Army
and Tulane.
So they're going to play in the conference championship game. That's the only time they're
I
going to
thought
play.
you saw that was going to be. I thought that was going to be a regular season.
No.
game.
That is the conference.
Well, yeah, that conference
game.
championship game would be a play-in game.
Yes, if Boise could lose again.
Sorry,
and Boise could lose in the Mountain
pissed
West
off
playoff
thinking about
game
this Boise crap. But yeah, I mean, if that's going to be your conference championship
say
game,
Colorado State.
it could be a play-in game.
Yeah, let's say
if
Colorado
Army's
State.
undefeated and Tulane's only got 2 losses to quality opponents, and Boise loses, it could be a playoff game, playoff playing game for the winner of Tulane and Army.
And Colorado State and Boise could meet in the Mountain West. Colorado State is 5-0, 7-3 overall. Jay Norvell has that team playing very well. So that could be your potential. That's a potential loss for
Let's
Boise.
go Rams. Let's go Rams.
Or it could be UNLV.
Barry Odom. Do something.
Yes.
Knock them off.
So there you go.
Jump on a mattress. Slide across the court.
Man, look, I've seen that on video. Now I've seen it in person at pep rallies where you run and you fly onto an air mattress and you slide across the gym floor. I have seen that done. I would need Sports Med Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center.
I would have to do the shows from my couch for a week.
I gotta call them during the commercial break because I've got to cancel that appointment.
You ought to just cancel it on the air, Scott. Just let everybody hear it.
I have. Hayden, if you're listening, can you cancel that appointment for me?
Can you call in, please?
Because I cannot get there. Oh, my goodness.
And I need some water. I've been struggling.
We got to get a break in because when we come back,
love the Sports Med water.
Yes, Mick Hedgepeth is going to join us, UAH Charger head coach. Chargers are packing up the family truckster, and they're going to head up north to Illinois. They got a game with McKendree tomorrow and Missouri St. Louis on Friday. We'll talk to the coach next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly sunny sky this afternoon. Definitely going to be cooler across the Tennessee Valley. Temperatures only climbing into the lower 60s. We drop into the low 40s as we head into the overnight. Even cooler for your Thursday. Plenty of sunshine, though. Temperatures only going to climb into the low and mid 50s. We drop into the mid upper 30s through the overnight. Early Friday morning. Definitely going to be a cold Friday morning commute. A partly sunny sky Friday afternoon. Once again, temperatures climbing into the lower 50s, dropping down into the mid 30s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
We're stacked up and slow southbound on the causeway and across the Hudson Memorial Bridge, headed into Decatur. Also on 565 eastbound from about Greenbrier all the way into Wall Triana. Those areas just moving slow. I haven't heard of any wrecks in those areas. 31 southbound, south of the Beltline in Decatur at Plaza, should be just about ready to clear. Looks like we got one in Scottsboro, 72 and 35. Dr. Sandman has the Somnodent, a safe, insurance-approved alternative for snoring and sleep apnea. Dr. Randall Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-Sparky.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list and maybe a little scary. but it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Follow the Tide right here. Hi, this is Chris Stewart of the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Your home of all things Bama is 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Roll Tide.
Everybody, have you heard? If you're in the game, then the strokes the word.
Oh, Billy Squire, if you're in the game, Chargers are in the game. They're going to be in the game on Thursday and Friday.
Back to back.
Yeah, back to back. You know what? If you're playing in the tournament, if you're playing in the Gulf South Conference tournament, or if you're playing in the NCAA tournament, you're going to get these back-to-back games.
Yeah.
And the Chargers opened up the season in the Sunshine State GSC crossover in Montevallo. They played Nova and then turned around and played Barry in back-to-back days. You're going to go through this. So you got to get ready for it, I guess. And the Chargers are going to do just that. They're going to travel up north and getting close to the homeland, I am, but not quite there.
No, not quite.
But they're going to take on McKendree tomorrow.
Yeah.
That game will be at 7:30. And then on Friday at 5:30, they're going to get Missouri St. Louis. All that will be played at McKendree. So it's another tough challenge for the Chargers.
It really is, and we're honored to be joined as we are throughout their season. It's a courtesy of our great friends at Scott
SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, which, by the way, has a fantastic phone automated system that you can cancel an appointment in a commercial break. So I did it during the commercial break, so we're all good.
Yeah.
We're all good. Appointment has been canceled.
We didn't practice that either, so that was really good. Good job there, Scott. And now we're going to talk to the first-year head basketball coach of the UAH Chargers. Scott and I were there for his introductory press conference. I know they caught up with him last week. This will be my first chance to speak with him since he's now gotten his first season rolling over at Spraggins Hall and off to a very strong start, I might add. And, of course, that's Mick Hedgebeth, and he's with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Coach, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and Coach, I didn't get a chance. I listened. I really enjoyed the conversation. I haven't had a chance to speak with you, but I know you're putting in your style and your stamp on this program. How now that you've had the chance to practice with these guys now for a while, prepare for the season, and you got off to the good start. I know you felt like you let one get away against Nova, no question. But how pleased are you with the way this team has started overall?
Yeah, I'm really pleased. I mean, first of all, very grateful and fortunate to inherit a veteran group who've been through a lot and are battle tested and have plenty of experience, which makes a coach's job a bit easier. But I think they've really adjusted well, adapted well to plenty of the same, right? I think there's been a great formula here for a long, long time, and I don't know that it would be wise of me to change that or vary too far from that, but a little bit of new as well. And I think they've picked up on that pretty quickly. So, I think, we've learned a lot about our team so far, and we'll learn quite a bit more the next couple of days with two really good road tests.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, this is the second time this season that you'll be playing two games in 2 days. That presents a unique challenge in itself.
Mm-hmm. Sure. And I heard you guys earlier before I came on, but, ultimately basketball is a tournament sport. You're going to have these scenarios in the postseason. So I do think simulating that early, is good for us, particularly because in conference play, we'll have a day between, so won't really have another opportunity to play back-to-backs other than these non-conference games. But yeah, it makes you think a little bit about, your preparation. Do you need to prepare at all for Friday's game? Even though that's who you play second on the front end, minutes, you got to be aware of could be a little heavy-legged the second day, which I certainly thought was the case against Barry after an overtime battle with Nova earlier a couple weeks ago.
Well, Coach, how did you a lot of times when you have an emotional loss like that, when you feel like you should have won the game against a team that's a national championship contender each and every year, but how proud were you with the way your team responded to get a 18-point win over a team in Barry, a program that's been really good themselves and been a postseason program?
Yeah, I was really proud of how we bounced back. Obviously a mix of emotions, with the Nova game, one, to play a team of that caliber, in a really tight game I thought we executed our plan well. So that was really, a big positive takeaway. But then obviously, our goal is to win the game, right? We're not there for moral victories, and, we're really close and had plenty of chances. But to Nova's credit, they made a lot of plays and just ended up making one more than us. But it was a lot of fun to be a part of that basketball game. And then I was really proud, because of everything our guys went through, of how they bounced back against Barry. In particular, we didn't have our best offensive game. It was our least efficient game of the season thus far offensively. But I thought we did a great job guarding. We gave up, low 60s, 61 or 2 points. So that, that's going to be needed. And I thought we made a big jump defensively in that game.
Coach Mick Hedgespeth, head coach of the UAH Chargers, joining us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now. Coach, we don't see a lot of teams from the Great Lakes Valley Conference.
Right.
It's very, this is something different. What do we know about McKendree?
They're a really good team. It'll be a challenge for us. We'll have to play well to have a chance. They're 3-1 with their only loss to Ferris State, who's a perennial D2 power. They are a little bit smaller by comparison to some other teams that we've played, but they really spread you out. They can shoot it 1 through 5, which presents some problems. They're a really physical team. Drive it, post up mismatches. They have one of the best defensive rebounding rates in the country, even though they don't have the most size. So that they're really efficient. About half their shots are threes, and they're actually shooting a better 2-point percentage than us overall on the season. So, it will be a big test for us, and a little bit of a unique style as well. They like to slow it down and have more of a slower pace, where we like to play faster. So I think it'll be a little bit of a battle of tempo as well.
Yeah, you guys are all about the possessions. You want more possessions in the game, the analytical part of the game. You want to control that part of a contest.
And then, Coach, I know regardless of the result, you will play Missouri St. Louis the next day. This is almost like, as you already equated it to, if you advance in an NCAA tournament, so you have a short scout, you'll have a short preparation time. What about Missouri St. Louis? What kind of style of play will they present to the Chargers on Friday?
There will be some similarities in terms of just their sheer physicality, like to create switches and post up mismatches. They like to play slower as well. I think the big difference is just they are bigger, more physical, rugged, have more of a traditional center. So that will pose, they guard ball screens differently. So there'll just be a little bit of a different strategy in terms of our attack. But, their size and athleticism, and I want to say they're up there in the country in terms of block shots per game, blocking like 6 shots a game or something like that. They have a great rim protector. So I think there will be some differences, but also some similarities in terms of it'll be slower. It'll be really physical. Rebounding will be a huge key.
No question. It'll be a challenge. And then seeing someone or two teams from this league and this kind of showcase that you're getting for the weekend, how does that kind of help prepare you going forward in the Gulf South and even for your ultimate goal of getting to the postseason?
Yeah, I think it
just going against really good teams who have some styles. Like there will be some teams in our league who want to play slower tempo. There will be some teams in our league who really try to take advantage of posting up mismatches and using their physicality against us. So I think it would just be great prep in terms of some things that we will see in Gulf South play. Hopefully it's a good experience for us, and we can learn a lot about our team and figure out how to attack, these types of teams on both ends.
Yeah, you mentioned that conference play, not get much rest. After Friday, you get Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, you get 4 days of rest, and then conference play begins on the road at Trevecca next week.
Yeah, no, we're excited to get going. We'll have a big test in Trevecca. Kevin Carroll there, I've known him for a long time. He does a phenomenal job. They run a lot of really good stuff. I haven't dug into them too much, but caught a little bit of them on film. They have, and one of the more talented players in the league, if not the most talented player in the league, in Jalen Page. So we'll have our hands full for sure. It's a tough place to play, but we'll be excited for the challenge.
No question. And Coach, I wanted to ask you, you had a veteran group come back, as you said, and you came in and you inherited these guys. You play every coach is different. Linnea Cup was a Hall of Famer here at UAH and what he did at the Gulf South Conference. And then, Coach John Shulman did such a great job for 5 years picking up that torch. How are you able to so far win the trust of this veteran group and really get off to a great start and a very promising one in year one with these guys that have played a lot of basketball in the UA Huntsville?
Yeah, I think it takes time, right? I think not only are we a veteran experienced group, but, just with the nature of the academics at UAH, you get to coach a lot of really smart guys and engineering and business guys and ACT scores that were a lot higher than mine, but you get a lot of critical thinkers, which is a good thing. As a coach, it really pushes you to know your stuff because you know that they may have questions. I think that's a good thing. I think that, having such a veteran group, we've been able to really collaborate a lot, to a certain extent. I like during a timeout, for example, asking them what they're seeing or feeling has been beneficial to me. I think they value that input as well. And then, I think just, performance and results, whether those be in the 3 closed scrimmages plus scrimmaging our alumni, plus our first games here, I think that just has, hopefully with some of the preparation, the execution, and some of the results there, hopefully that's just continuing to build that trust and confidence in our approach.
And it's been a big week for you guys. I mean, now that they've signed, they're officially coming in. You've added a couple new pieces for next year. I mean, you got one guy coming out of Clay Chalkville. But I mean, you've added a couple new pieces for next year for building the future.
Yeah, we have. We have to. We lose an awful lot. We lose 7 guys, including our starting 5 and 2 others who are significant contributors. So it'll be curious at the end of the year to look and see what percentage of our scoring and everything else we lose. But excited about our 4 signees, and hopefully there are more to come as well.
Yeah, and I'll get a chance to see the young man from Clay Chalkville. Saw him last year. Really good player. And they'll be playing against Huntsville High tonight at 6 o'clock. That game will be over at Clay. That's a really good basketball team and program they got over there. So a quality student athlete coming down to UAH, no question about that. I know they're super excited about it. But Coach, as we've kind of previewed this showcase you got coming up over in Illinois, what's going to be the key to getting a couple of wins for you guys over the 2-day period?
Yeah, I think the key will be dictating tempo, and then it will be rebounding as well. If I had to limit it to 2, I think obviously the games are a little bit different, but in really transition on both sides of the ball. We're not scoring as much in transition, getting early paint touches as much as I would like. So hopefully we can do that a little bit more. And then we need to, in transition defense and half court defense against teams who want to slow it down, we're going to try to be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more disruptive, and maybe speed it up a little bit on that end as well. But I think, big picture, those are the two biggest keys.
Yeah. Well, I think hopefully UAH is going to return with 2 W's. Safe travels, Coach. We always appreciate your time as you've been preparing your squad for this road trip. It should be a good test for you. But again, we look forward to catching up again with you very soon. But thank you for the time and good luck, and go Chargers.
Much appreciated. I look forward to it as well. Go Chargers.
Thank you, Coach Mick Hedgesmith, joining us, UAH Charger head basketball coach. Got to get a break in. 97.7 ESPN The Zone, your tomorrow's headlines today, next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Got a couple of wrecks now. They're showing one northbound on the Parkway near 565. Looking at that area, traffic appears to be moving okay. We got one in Jackson County, 72 westbound at 35. That's near Scottsboro. Cooler temps are coming. Don't get caught without heat. D&L Refrigeration can check your system before it's too late. Discounts for military, law enforcement, and seniors at D&L 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
It all comes back to money.
Visit our store right now at zonedeals.bigdealsmedia.net to take advantage of all the best deals in the Tennessee Valley. Or just go to our website, 977ESPN.com, and click on the Zone Deals logo to start saving right now.
Now, as to the price.
These deals won't last long, so get yours now. Zone Deals. You'll thank us later.
A man who could easily afford to buy a vowel.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list and maybe a little scary, but it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Bob Baumhauer here. Are you out of ideas for those stocking stuffers? Our selection of delicious signature sauces make great stocking stuffers for that chef of the house. Kick up your favorite holiday dish with our legendary hot sauce. If you enjoy our char grilled black and white chicken, then grab a bottle of our fabulous legendary white barbecue sauce. Would you like to have a Bam Bam shrimp on your holiday menu? That's easy. Just pick up a bottle of Baumhauer's Thai sweet chili sauce. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
Hello, listeners. I want to tell you a little bit about Minuteman Press and what we have to offer our community. We specialize in paper printing and can help from designing your piece to the finished product. We print media guides for many of the athletic departments at high schools and universities around the area. We typically purchase sponsorships from these schools as well to try and help them with their fundraising. Once we have reached our new normal, we also print all types of marketing materials free to hand out either in person, via mail, or at various trade shows and events. At Minuteman Press, we're not just putting ink on paper, we're building relationships.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama, located online at universitykia.com.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Don't forget, 125th edition of America's Game, Army Navy, going to meet in the nation's capital December 14th.
Send in those letters.
Send them in. 97.7 WZZN events at gmail.com. 977 WZZN events at gmail.com. Send it in. Make it count. One per entry per household. Get those fingers on the keyboard. Start typing. Send in your letters today. Got to have them by Friday, December 6th. Man, I tell you what, we're expecting some big numbers on this. So get them in.
Already getting them in.
Yep. And the winner is going to get a pair of tickets to go see the Army-Navy game December 14th. And it's a bucket list of mine for you, for me, for several people, and especially in this community, on how big of the Army, how big of a factor it is here in this community. Get them in. We want to send you to the Army-Navy game.
We certainly do.
And as the world turns,
Micah Parsons is obviously smoking the tobacco.
Yes, he is.
He's saying he must think he's back at Penn State because he's saying the Cowboys are a damn good football team, just like when he thought Penn State was, and they weren't either.
There's some people that believe Adam Schefter smokes the.
I'm not going to say that. I know he went to Michigan, but
this morning Adam Schefter puts out, and he puts out that Ray Lewis. Adam Schefter says Hall of Fame linebacker Ray Lewis has emerged as a candidate to become the next head coach at Florida Atlantic. Quickly, Matt Zenitz says, I don't think so.
No.
They haven't had any contact, and this is not true. And then
that's just agent stuff.
Yes. And then Chuck Dunlap, this is what's good. Chuck Dunlap, who is the communications director for the Southeastern Conference, goes out on Twitter this morning, in fact, 6 minutes ago, and says 7 SEC members have at least one win versus a team ranked in the current college football playoff top 10. This total this total leads all other conferences by more than triple.
Of course it does.
That is coming from the conference itself. That's not other media members propaganding the SEC. That is the SEC taking care of its own self.
Well, they used to have an album called Driving and Crying, I think it was called, years ago. We need to have Nicole Auerbach and these other folks to stop whining and crying. That's what they need to change it to.
Oh, he's not done.
Or no, that was a band, I think, Driving and Crying.
Done. He says 11 SEC members have at least one win versus a team ranked in the current top 25. This total leads all conferences by more than double.
And there's what? The SEC's got 16 teams?
Yes.
And 11 of them have been a top 25 team?
Yes. In the current top 25.
Including Vandy.
Including Vandy.
Yeah. I'm sorry. These idiots have just got to deal with it.
Oh, but come on. Nicole Auerbach is right.
No, she's not. Good Lord. She went to lunch with Heather Dimwit.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh.
Yep, we had it going on today. Only had to hit the dump button once. Came close twice.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation,